Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be a great day. I've got a really cool photo shoot set up today. And before I get started, you see this microphone right here? I've been wanting to get wireless microphones for a long time. Watch this. I've always had a shotgun mic stuck to the top of the camera. Now I can come over here. And you know, when I'm doing a photo shoot in the studio, I walk away from the shotgun mic and you can't hear me very well. And that means I've got to carry it around with me, and it's choppy and it's crazy. But I'm hoping that this will solve that issue and I can have a microphone wherever I go. I know it's not super attractive, but to be honest with you, I don't care that you can see the microphone. These are the Godox Move Link wireless microphones, I guess. They actually come with a lavalier, so if you want to be a little more discreet, you can do that. But you know, I don't necessarily mind if you guys can see it. It's totally cool with me. I'm hoping that the audio will even sound a little bit better than it did before, although I'm not an audio expert, but we're trying to up the game a little bit. So after the disclaimer of the microphone situation today, let's get into today's video, which I'm excited about. And as I often do, I want to start out by asking you a question. Can photo gear be sexy? Now, when I say sexy, I don't mean like Pamela Anderson in Baywatch running down the beach sexy. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about sexy like as in intriguing and draws you into it and you can't take your eyes off of it. That's what I mean by sexy. Can gear be sexy? I always talk about how photo gear is really just a tool that I use in my business. But let's be honest, some of this stuff is more than just a tool. I mean, they're fun to use, they're exciting, they drive you to do more things. And I have a lens that I had never heard about until semi-recently. I learned that this lens existed. And I'm going to go so far as to say it's kind of sexy. Now, the lens that I am talking about is the Sigma Art Series 105mm f1.4. Now you might think, oh, 105 millimeters, big deal. It's just kind of a portrait lens, right? But let me show you this lens. Okay, this is straight out of the case. It comes with this super cool case. But this is the lens. Big lens hood. But look at this glass. Look at the size of that lens. This thing, f1.4, 105 millimeter. The first time I saw this lens, it just intrigued me. It just made me want to take it out and go do some photos. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do some portraits with this lens. I'm excited. Now, before I get out of the studio and take you guys on location with me and do these photographs, let me do a little business first. This video is not sponsored by any means, but I don't own this lens. I don't own the camera that I'm going to put it on because it doesn't fit on my Fuji. I had to get a camera as well. But the photo store that I work part-time at, Spartan Photo Center, allowed me to take out this gear. In fact, they let me take this microphone to test as well. They let me take this art lens. And they let me take the Nikon D850, which is what we're going to put on this lens to do the photo shoot. They let me use all this gear. So big shout out to them. Let me just tell you a little bit about them. I got a video coming up that I'm going to tell you a lot more about that store, but just as a little quick snippet of who they are, Spartan Photo Center is the last photo store in the state of South Carolina. They sell new gear, they sell used gear, they rent gear, they have a full service lab. They are Manfrotto tripod experts. If you have a tripod need, you need a part, you need repairs, anything like that, they do all of that kind of stuff. But as far as this lens is concerned, I'm going to leave a link in the description. This lens is a used lens, it's in mint condition, it is for sale. Like I said, it goes on a Nikon F mount. I have my little notes here. It is on sale right now for $1,109. I think brand new, this lens is about $1,599, $1,499, somewhere in that $1,500 range. But right now it's on sale for just over $1,100. And like I said, it is in mint condition. We're going to put it through some paces today. But I will put links in the description to all the Spartan Photo stuff, the website, this particular lens. You can find the mics on there, the whole deal. So thank you so much to Mike and Amy who allowed me to take the gear out and make this video. Okay, so let me kind of set this up real quick as far as putting things together. Here's the Nikon D850. I've used a D800 a lot. I used to shoot with that in a studio quite often. I've never used an 850. I'm hoping they're very similar and I can kind of get through the learning curve of that. Okay, so it goes right on there. It's got the tripod mount, which I will probably take my monopod. I do not trust myself with a lens like this shooting at f1.4, which is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be taking advantage of the fact that it's got that wide open aperture. Okay, we got the lens shade on there, and that is pretty impressive little setup we've got there. Like I said, can you see why I'm talking about how sexy this is? Okay guys, I am out here in Greenville. I'm meeting another photographer who actually is also a skateboarder, but he does a lot of skate photo shoots. His name is Zach, and I'm gonna photograph Zach's, do a portrait of him, and for me it's just gonna be testing out this lens. For him it's gonna be some promotional stuff, which it's always a little nerve-wracking, I guess, to photograph another photographer, because you know they know what they're talking about, and Zach does some really neat work. So he'll be here in just a little bit. I'm just kind of scouting out this skate park. It's not really my thing, so it's kind of new territory to me, but hopefully we'll do some really neat photos here. And it's a little windy, so we'll see how well the mic does with the wind. But the sun came out. It's a beautiful day right now. It should be ideal conditions other than the wind. We'll deal with that, but it should be ideal conditions to get some great photos. Everybody, it is the next morning, and unfortunately the phone that I was using yesterday during the shoot to videotape everything we were doing, the battery died on me. I didn't have a way to recharge it. I've never had that happen before, but I guess I put it through the paces a little too much yesterday. It was getting chilly, so cold weather, the amount of videoing I was doing, and maybe the fact that it had to power these little microphones just was a little too much for it, and it zonked out on me. But I think I got most of it. I got a lot of what we did yesterday. The unfortunate thing that I wasn't able to kind of introduce Zach a little more officially, and that's the perfect segue, I guess, into saying Thank you so much to Zach. Zach Suggs is an amazing photographer. I have only recently met him. I'm just getting to know him. I haven't hung out with him a whole lot, but Zach is a really great photographer and a really great guy. Thank you so much for your time, allowing me to take your photograph, and just, you know, we spent about an hour, 2 hours together yesterday, and I will put links in the description to Zach and his website and his Instagram and stuff. One of the things that I enjoyed about being around Zach yesterday was Zach is what I would consider an artist first. Myself as a photographer, sometimes I kind of get into that mode of just being a tradesman and, you know, creating pretty pictures because that's my job. And sometimes I kind of lose sight of the art side of it. And Zach seems to be the opposite. Zach is an artist first, and his art happens to be photography. And it was really inspiring to be around that, listening to him speak and talk about his work, and just see the way he kind of goes about what he does. So big shout out to Zach, and thank you so much for your time yesterday. It was amazing to be out there with you. And hopefully we'll get to talk to Zach some more about what he does and how he does it, and introduce more of his work to you. So my thoughts about this lens. This is a hefty little beast. It was a great deal of fun to use. As I used it, I kind of made some notes, and I want to just kind of read the things that came to mind using this lens. And again, I've got the Sigma Art 105 millimeter 1.4 lens. I shot everything at f1.4 because to me this is a specialty lens. There's lots of lenses that come in at the 105 millimeter focal length, but the 1.4 is what makes this lens special. So I would call it a specialty lens. Certainly it's a great portrait lens. It's that kind of mid-range portrait lens that's perfect for everything it does. But its claim to fame is going to be how fast it is, that 1.4. To me, that makes it kind of a specialty lens in the sense that I'm going to use it to its extreme for certain things. Low light being a big one, super shallow depth of field being another one. And so that's where I used it. I shot everything at 1.4. The first thing that I noticed when I got out there in the bright sunlight, I was at an 8,000th of a second at f1.4, and I was still a little bit overexposed, which is amazing to me. You know, I realize 1.4 is super fast, but I'm at an 8,000th of a second, and I'm still overexposing a little bit, and I was at 100 ISO. If you have the ability to go lower than that, you're probably not going to run into the problem that I did. Now, I was in bright, direct sunlight, so the amount of times that you're going to be overexposed at an 8,000th of a second is probably going to be rare, but I did experience that. Now, the other thing that I noticed, and right off the bat, this is a heavy lens. It is, there's a lot of weight to it, and I know a lot of photographers like to handhold and have the ability to walk around and handhold. And I get it, there's IBIS and there's all these things in our cameras these days. Personally, I don't necessarily feel comfortable hand-holding this lens. It's just a little too much. Not just for the shake and the movement. I realize I'm at an 8,000th of a second, so I'm going to freeze the motion probably fairly easily, but also just the sheer weight. So I used a monopod. I'm sure you could see that in the video. I used a monopod just for the stability of it, but also that I wasn't having to bear that weight. If you walked around for a portrait shoot or certainly a wedding, something that's going to be a long day, your arms are going to get tired. And, you know, the longer you do it, the more tired you get, the more chance you have of being shaky. So I used a monopod. I certainly would use a tripod if I had the ability to take the time to do it, because this guy is heavy. Now, one of my concerns going into this photo shoot was at 1.4, the depth of field is probably this much. It's pretty darn shallow, and I was concerned that I was going to have a lot of images that were not acceptably sharp. You know, focusing on somebody's face, but you know, you get the back of their head in focus and not their eyes. I kind of went into it thinking that is probably going to be a real possibility. So because of that, I took a lot of photographs. We were probably out there shooting for maybe an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and I took 200 photographs, something like that. That's a lot for me. I was banging through them pretty quickly, but I felt I should probably take more than I normally would for the sake of getting something in focus. However, I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised, that with this Nikon D850, which, you know, again, I would recommend this camera. This is a stellar camera. most of the images were right on the money. Now, where I ran into a problem was where he was moving. There were a couple shots where he was moving, and it just didn't keep up with him because he was moving towards me. But where we were positioning him and posing him, these images were really sharp. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised by the accuracy of the lens and the camera combination. Even at 1.4, I had great success with the focus. I'm going to end the video with showing about 3 of them that I processed myself. I went into the whole photo shoot kind of with a vision. I had, black and white is what I was thinking I would do. I would put the Type 55 Polaroid borders around the images. I kind of had this artsy look before I started. So that's going to be the last 3 that I'm going to show you. But before I show you those last 3, I want to say thank you one more time to Spartan Photo Center. Mike at Spartan Photo Center let me take this lens out, let me take the microphones out, let me go play with this lens. Again, I will put the links in the description to Spartan Photo Center as well as this specific lens. It is for sale. It is a used lens. It's, once again, $1,100. That's a great deal. That's a really great deal. Check them out. Thanks again to Mike. And thank you guys for watching as always. If you haven't subscribed, think about subscribing to the channel. Give me a thumbs up if you would. And if you got any questions, comments, complaints, put those in the comment section. And I will see you guys in another video very soon.